Hafaday, good afternoon. The Committee on Health, Tourism, Military Affairs, Senior Citizens now convenes this public hearing. Public hearing notices were provided to the media. First notice on Tuesday, February 6, 2018. Second notice on Monday, February 12, 2018. For the record, today is Wednesday, February 14, 2018, and the time now is 3:27 p.m. The committee will hear the executive appointment of Sonia L. Silang to serve as a member of the Guam Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees. We also had on the agenda the executive appointment of Dr. Hugh T. Campus to serve as a member of the same board. However, we received a letter from the doctor withdrawing his nomination. And so I'd like to thank Vice Chairman, Senator Joe San Augustine. Thank you for being here. Senator Will Castro, thank you very much for being here this afternoon. And to all of you, happy Valentine's Day. To all of you, thank you for being here at the Guam Congress Building. We're here to hear the nomination of Ms. Sonia Silang. Vice Speaker, thank you very much for joining us. I'd just like to inform that we do have a special session that's being called at 4 p.m. today. And so we have all you who have signed up in support of Sonia. We have it on record here. And if you do have any written testimony, we ask that you submit it, and it'll be part of the record. Okay, so we'll try to make this as smooth and quickly as possible. So we'll go ahead and call any of you who wish to provide oral testimony. If you do wish to provide that, I ask you to please come forward. I'll go ahead and read those who had signed up. This is, of course, Ms. Sonia Silang. Jenny, is it Jenny Donatus, who's signed up as in favor? Emiko Piles, Esther Camacho, Harold Cruz, Antoinette, I'm sorry, I don't have your last name here. Chastity, Sherwin, Emily Blas, Patrick Keeler, Christina Benitez. Okay, if you wish to provide any oral testimony, then I invite you to come forward. We'll acknowledge Mr. Cruz first.
Hafaday, Honorable Chairman and members of this committee, Senator Castro, San Augustine, and Vice Speaker Therese Terlahi. I'm here to present favorable testimony in the appointment of Sonia Silang to the Guam Memorial Hospital Board of Directors. I first met Sonia about 3 years ago. I've known her to be a woman of passion and conviction when in search of the truth and human values. I strongly believe that Sonia can provide the balance of institutional knowledge and the struggles of being a single parent to the GMH board. In the past few weeks, we've heard horror stories on the state of the hospital. A few weeks ago, this body heard hours of testimonies from surgeons, nurses, staff, and patients on how bad things are at Guam's only public hospital. These stories bring chills to my spine and makes my hair stand. And although Sonia may not bring an overnight fix to things that have been broken for many, many decades, I believe Sonia brings logical thinking from the eyes, ears, heart, from outside the box. It is time that the working class is represented on the GMH board. As a former police officer, 911 fire and medical EMD, and teacher, her diversity brings that much more to the table when tough decisions have to be made when dealing with human life and family values. Being a single mother has taught Sonia to be a survivor and an independent thinker. Sonia has no special interest affiliations, only those of the needy, the weak, the poor, and the abused. I wholeheartedly support her nomination and respectfully request that this body to vote to confirm her appointment. Danku na Sejus Masi dan Sesedabenti Guahosi Harold Cruz.
Sejus Masi, Mr. Cruz, thank you very much. Ms. Lola Young Guerrero.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. This was actually supposed to be a letter of support, but I'm decided to go ahead and give it orally. I'm writing this letter in support of Ms. Sonia Siliang to serve as a member of the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority Board of Trustees. I have known Ms. Siliang for over 2.5 years as a Planner 1 in the Bureau of Statistics and Plan Socioeconomic Planning Program. Under my supervision, Ms. Siliang has played a vital role in ensuring the Bureau's FY 2013, FY 2014, and FY 2015 Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant subgrantees are in compliance with the grant programmatic requirements. She worked with the subgrantees to ensure timely progress reports, orderly grant files, and compliance with the Office of Civil Rights requirements. Ms. Siliang is a person with great organization and time management skills and has good work ethics. With her skills, her diverse work experience, and her compassion to help those in need, I am confident she will serve the Guam GMH Board of Trustees, its employees, its patients, and I humbly ask the committee to support Ms. Siliang's appointment to the GMH Board of Trustees. I currently serve as the Chief Planner of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, and Sonia actually worked under me with the socioeconomic. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to provide any oral testimony? We have Mr. Peter John Camacho, who's just signing in. I want to recognize Senator Lee. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee. My apologies for being late. Traffic was a little bit hectic coming down to the legislature this afternoon. I would just like to thank first our oversight chair for the scheduling of the confirmation hearing, and also to thank Ms. Soliang for agreeing to be on our board. And I understand that she works with the Bureau of Statistics and Plans currently, and I know that that would be an important an important experience and expertise that we can use at the hospital. So I respectfully request, the committee to forward her appointment to the whole body for their approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter John, for your testimony. Ms. Sonia, I want to first congratulate you again for being appointed to the GMH Board of Trustees. I want to apologize to you for not having your hearing sooner. The legislature did receive your appointment. However, it was an oversight on our part, and so I want to apologize to you for not moving it forward. And so now we're here today. As soon as we were aware of it, we made sure we have this scheduled this confirmation hearing. So I want to thank you for stepping up. I want to also say that I know you personally, and I want to thank you for doing the work that you do at BSP, even with the civic organizations that you're a part of. I think you'll be an excellent member as a general public member for the Board of Trustees. As you know, as Mr. Cruz has indicated, there's a lot of things that are happening with our hospital, and everyone that's in the forefront now, all their intentions are well. They're well-intentioned. Just a matter of being able to focus and doing the right thing for a hospital. And I know that you in that position would contribute the best that you can. I just want to ask you to be actively involved in the Board of Trustees. It's very important. You're a governing board, and members of the board must be active in the operations of the hospital. So as soon as we're done with this hearing, we're going to prepare the committee report and ensure it's voted on our next session. Okay, so thank you. You have my full support. Thank you. Vice Speaker, have any questions?
Hi, Sonia. Thank you all who testified. And Sonia, I also want to say thank you for accepting this nomination. And I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to ask you some questions because, as you know, GMH is the subject of probably all the discussion nowadays, and very, very important when the chairman said that the Board of Trustees is a managing board. It's not an advisory board. It's actually the board that's going to hire. It's going to select. It's going to approve things. So very, very critical, I think, your involvement. Could I ask, I mean, your packet, and I know you, that you're an employee at the Bureau of Statistics and Plans. Are you a classified or unclassified employee?
At the time of submission, I was unclassified, and then recently promoted into a different section, so classified now.
Okay. All right. Have you been following the news, I guess, about the proposals for Guam Memorial Hospital, the testimony that we've had in different bills that have been proposed, and what the issues that have been brought up? Are you familiar with those?
I have been watching the hearings and reading the paper, as well as looking over the minutes from the board, and just trying to be up to speed with the issues going on at GMH.
All right. What do you think about, do you have any thoughts about those proposals or the allegations that, you know, some of these are management concerns versus money concerns? What are your thoughts about those things from the preliminary, I guess, from the news, or just from your own assessment?
From my own assessment, the allegations are just that. I don't know. I am not really familiar or read any reports, with details. So for me, they're just allegations. They're serious ones. But if I do get the opportunity to serve on the board, I will make sure that I'm, familiarized with the allegations and read the reports and go from there.
All right. Do you think, because I know, BSP is up at the governor's office or the governor's complex, and you are being appointed by the governor, but GMH is supposed to be an autonomous, independent board. And do you think you'd be able to serve in that capacity, even if you disagreed with perhaps the governor or us, that you would be able to act that way?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, although I'm located in Adelup, I don't really necessarily see anyone above our level. I actually only come across people in the hallway, and that's a high and by. It would not interfere in any way.
All right. Do you have any business dealings that with the hospital? Like private businesses? I don't see any in your resume, but just checking.
No business.
Organization, okay. All right. Can I just ask maybe your strengths that you think you would be contributing to the hospital's board then? Wait, I'm sorry. I did want to add. The hospital has articles and bylaws as to how the Board of Trustees is supposed to operate, so that will be your Bible after this. Yeah. But there's three I want to read out. These are the duties. So among all the other duties of the board, these are three that I think are very relevant today to just point out. So B is, be responsible for the maintenance of the standards of medical care, safety, and professionalism at the hospital in accordance with all applicable laws and regulatory accrediting bodies. E is authority to appoint, reappoint, and terminate members of the hospital medical staff. I is hire or contract an administrator who will be the chief executive officer of the GMHA, will have full charge of the operations and maintenance. So it's a very active board, in other words. Yeah, I just want to make sure you understand that, and that, can you just tell me one more time, if you're willing to take on these types of responsibilities? They're going to include financial. Right now, it's financial are a lot of the questions, and if you read the bylaws, it does say that the board is supposed to manage the finances of the hospital. So you're going to have to ask the administrator, the finance officers, everyone at the hospital to pretty much give you what you need in order to make those decisions. And do you feel like you're able to do that? All right. I just know that, in Guam, we're all friends. So sometimes a lot of the boards tell us that they don't really do those things. It's like the culture, I guess, of, sometimes goes on for a while, that they just act friendly to each other. But I think in circumstances like this, when very severe allegations or serious allegations are being made and serious financial issues are being pointed out, that we just have to ask the board members to all step up and really take responsibility. And so I want to thank you again for being willing to do that. In the middle of all this crisis, I really admire that you're still willing to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice Speaker. Senator San Agustin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sonia, you know, I'm looking at your packet here, and I like the first number one. Thank you for accepting the nomination. That's really the most important thing here is that you accepted the nomination. You accepted the challenge. You're accepting the challenge, and I knew you'd be able to handle it because you're a graduate from JFK. You're an Islander, so that's
right.
I'm alumni of JFK, so I give you that kudos. And not only that, but being a former police officer, you're also a former police officer from Yuma, Arizona. And then as I'm looking at your packet, gosh, you know when they say you assist senior planners, I know that in GovGov when they say if you're not helping the chief planner, you're just like the senior planner, right, Lola? And Lola's like, yeah, because you know everywhere in government they're stressful. But I noticed in your packet you have a lot of there's some great things about it. And you know what? I can't question you about what you're going to do. I just hope that you just do your best.
I will.
Because that's all we can hope for, because at the end of the day, after you meet, once you're confirmed, and the board does whatever action needs to do, we'll hear about it, and then we'll see you in front of us, and we'll ask you your, what this says here, a programmatic evaluator. I know that Peter John will be like, thank God I'm getting somebody that knows how to look at some of the programs I have and try to fix it. Because that's what everybody needs in every agencies. They need people that have expertise to be able to see beyond, outside the box, to be able to help the agency. That's what they need. And, being a police officer, you're a teacher, you got a criminal justice degree, your minors in ethics studies. Ooh, that's a nice one. Right, Peter John? Peter John's like, ooh. Okay, but I just say that teasingly for Peter John. But just looking at your background, it says a lot for you. You were in the Coast Guard, I think, if I'm correct?
The auxiliary, yes.
Coast Guard, right?
3 years.
See? 3 years. See, I'm trying to find some faults in you, but I can't. I'm just kidding. You got a great resume. I hope for the best for you. I will support your nomination for confirmation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. I know you had a prepared statement. If you want, did you want to read that, or did you want to?
I would love to.
If you don't, okay, go ahead, and then we'll continue. Thank you. Sorry about that.
I'm a little bit nervous, but okay. So, half a day, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Good afternoon. My name is Sonia Siliang. I am currently a statistician 2, which is a supervisor in the cost of living section, the Business Economics Statistics program at BSP. My board packet may reflect my position at the Bureau as a Planner 1 under the Socioeconomic Division. I would like to start by giving thanks to my family and friends and colleagues for their support, testimonies, and vote of confidence in favor of my nomination for a seat as a general member on the GMHA Board of Trustees. Although a native of the Republic of Palau, I have called Guam home since the age of 5. And after graduating from JFK High School in the early 90s, I received a full scholarship to the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I can still remember the emotions of fear and worry the day I left for college, wondering if I would be returning to Guam. Being an only child, my parents wanted the best for me, even if it meant leaving home to gain experience. My mother once told me that Guam would always be home, so go get educated, travel outside the island, and come back ready to contribute to society. Those words are etched in my heart, and I am now living by them. While my earlier studies concentrated on a clinical psychology major, it soon turned into a desire to serve and protect. I earned my bachelor's degree in criminal justice and eventually joined the ranks of officer at the Yuma Police Department in Arizona. While working closely and interacting with people on a daily basis, my passion soon grew into a new calling, which would land me a position as a 911 police and fire emergency medical dispatcher. To my surprise, this new career increased my skills in problem solving, handling stress, prioritizing, being compassionate, practicing good judgment, and having lots of patience. I would describe myself as a very passionate individual when it involves public service, community, and our environment. This would become evident in my jobs attained while being a military spouse. Some of my work experiences while having a spouse actively serving in the United States Army was a team leader for the Installation Access Control Office in Germany. This is a division of the military police under the Provost Marshal's office. I work closely with the German Polizei and other local government entities. Some of my duties as a team leader included managing 3 installation access control centers, implementation of the force protection conditions, initiating background checks, managing staff, including the hiring and training of new employees, ensuring compliance with the Army's regulatory requirements by formulating data and reports and submitting monitored access activity reports on all of our European-wide access or installations. I was also a permanent substitute teacher in South Korea for 3 years. This was a very humbling and rewarding experience, which some of my colleagues believed should have been my first calling in life. This position gave me the opportunity to form relationships with students and help them improve. Other duties included maintaining classroom discipline accordingly, preparing daily lessons, creating a classroom that was conducive to learning, and interacting with parents and staff to achieve student success. After living abroad, I returned home to Guam and soon found myself challenged with numerous things: choosing the right school for my son, finding a safe and affordable home, healthcare, and seeking employment. Rather than giving into these challenges, I became resilient and more determined to start my new life here on Guam. I woke up each morning getting dressed as if I was going to a job while I was actively seeking employment. This persistence would soon lead me to an opportunity to volunteer at the Bureau of Statistics and Plans. While volunteering and still seeking gainful employment through DOA and other agencies, I was offered an opportunity to fill a temporary position under the Socioeconomic Division as a planner. As a planner, I worked on several projects involving our local law enforcement, behavioral health, and the court system. I maintained project files, quarterly reports, financial reports, and handled reprogramming of funds under the Burn JAG grant. Some of these skills I gained while being a planner would make me an ideal candidate for the board. Maintaining a balance of projects and funds, being able to collaborate with other agencies or employees, communicating and listening to other ideas, inventory, being diligent and managing supplies as not to waste or go without needed supplies, providing information and being transparent with officials and the public, analyzing data to interpret the needs of any project, monitoring progress to ensure that any project is progressing or achieving its intended results, conducting research and evaluating projects to evaluate effectiveness and impact. My education and work experiences abroad, in the mainland, and now on Guam, on top of my values my parents instilled in me, and my values as a public servant will help guide me as a trustee on the GMH board. My role as a general member is to be the voice of our community. As an active member of various community organizations and my willingness to listen to others, I feel these traits would allow me to be that voice for the people on the board. Personally, getting involved with GMHA board is not a question of why, but a question of how can I make a difference. It will be a challenging opportunity to advocate for the public as a whole. However, I would take this advantage to be the necessary reminder of the common people we serve. My mother was a nurse and gave her last breath at GMH. I owe gratitude and extreme respect to the staff for their professionalism while working under outdated hospital conditions. If the committee should find me qualified as a people's perspective member of the board, I vow to work efficiently and diligently for our people. Lastly, we really need to come together as a community and as one island so that people can truly have not only affordable but reliable health care. People's health should never be a part of anyone's profit margin, nor should it be used for political wars. Senators, doctors, nurses, and hospital staff made a commitment to serve the interests and betterment of the general public. I think if we don't save our public hospital, the uninsured, elderly, and sick will be sacrificed. Thank you, Sulong, and Undanklu Nasizuos Maasi.
Thank you very much for that, Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all the members of the public who've come and provided testimony for Miss Siliang. I do want to thank you, Sonia. Thank you so much for all the work that you're already doing at BSP. You know, we've had a chance to talk a little bit about some of the work that you are doing under Lola, and just a big shout out to all of our government employees that are doing work day in and day out at BSP and everywhere else in our community. And Sulang for accepting the governor's appointment. It was very touching to hear about your mother working at GMH. My grandmother worked at GMH until, you know, she wasn't able to work anymore. So I think it's, yeah, you're absolutely right on target with regard to this being our only public hospital and the place that people in our community go when we need help. One of the questions that I always ask people who are appointed onto any board or any commission is, this is an opportunity for you to participate, and some of the pushback that we get from boards and commissions are that people can't attend these meetings. And so I just wanted to ask you if you will commit to attending all of the board meetings as much as possible, if you'll be able to attend and participate.
Yes. As I accepted the nomination, I committed myself to the board.
Great, thank you. Yeah, again, one of the issues we always have is boards making quorums. We want to make sure that people understand that commitment. In your testimony, you were talking a little bit about your background and the experiences that you have. So you talked a little bit about technical review at BSP, your role in the Guam State Clearinghouse Review, and your role as a 911 dispatcher. So I think, yeah, a lot of these prior experiences are going to help make you a very strong member on the GMHA board. One question that I did have is, did you ever witness a lapse or loss of funding in any of the state clearinghouse grants that you were overseeing for grant funding, specifically for non-compliance?
Well, since I've been with the Bureau, I have not, but maybe Lola would know if any.
Okay. I'm just... I guess to follow up to that question, if you were to encounter a certain grant that ended up having a reduction of funds or loss of funding due to noncompliance, what are the steps that you would do in advance of that to mitigate that from happening?
Well, I can only speak from this day forward. I would hope we never get to that time where something is either lapse or non-compliant. But if we do get into a non-compliant situation, then I would have to, well, as a board, we would have to address it right away and try to recover from it.
So you mentioned 911 dispatch experience, your experience at BSP. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to tell us about any other experience that might be able to translate to the GMH board where potential JCO accreditation is at risk and we have some upcoming issues potentially with CMS certification. So do you have any other kinds of experience that might help you? I know you're a single mom. That might be one of those things, but are there any other experiences, life experiences or career experiences that you bring to the table?
I would say just my work experience and history with dealing with people and threatening or non-threatening situations. I feel that I know how to prioritize, and everything is important to everyone who calls 911, for example. Everybody has an emergency, but that does not dictate an emergency for our officers. We have to prioritize. Okay, your emergency, you have an emergency, but what really constitutes the emergency? Because we only have a handful of officers out there, and if we send somebody for the wrong reasons and then say the next person has the real emergency and then say they lose their life, I have to make that decision. I don't compare it to GMH, but the concept is the same.
So triage, essentially.
Yes.
Thank you. And just one last question, Mr. Chair. What would your priority be as a member of the GMHA board?
Should I be
Should
confirmed?
you be confirmed?
My priority would be to get up to speed, to meet with the rest of the board members and to ask, how can I help? At this point, what do I need to do? Do I need to research? What can I do to get us, get us going as a team? It's always better as a team, because there's no I in team, right? Yeah.
That's right. Sujus Masi, Sulang. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. Senator Castro.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is Sonia's lucky day because we have about 1 minute before the emergency session. Otherwise, if I had the whole hour, I wouldn't know where to begin. But let me go ahead and start with maybe the positive things, just positive things. I've never had the privilege to work alongside someone on a daily basis, a fellow islander, a Palauan specifically, who was as committed and as compassionate, as competent as Sonia. I got to tell you, though, for the record, and maybe to the benefit of the committee, that Sonia's distinguishing factor, in my opinion, as a professional, is her ability to act and think independently. I've had many an instance where I wanted certain things done a certain way, and not in defiance, but in her ultimate wisdom, she would beg to differ and offer an alternative route, and I appreciated her. I grew as a professional because of it. And so I do want to say that although she's being nominated in a specific role as a member of the community at large, there's nothing general about Sonia. As a matter of fact, specifically, she's in armed service, she's a law enforcement, she's a legislative, she's an educational and planning official. But I do want to state publicly, this is a matter of public record, as to the specifics of your character. You're trustworthy and honest and reliable and principled. And so I couldn't rally and muster the support behind a more well-rounded, highly qualified, and compassionate member of this community to step into such an important role at this very critical time for the hospital. And I will do everything within my professional capacity to carry your confirmation forward. We are a very blessed community to have you nominated. Thank you for accepting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. Vice Speaker, another?
Yes, I should have waited until your testimony, because your testimony pretty much answered all my questions, and I feel very good, and I want to thank you again that through your testimony you show that you really do have an understanding of what the hospital's facing, what the public's facing, that we need to, as a community, work together, and I appreciate that, and that the skills that you highlight, I really believe that's excellent. That really shows that you are thinking ahead what the board is going to have to do, and some of these might be mundane, but they actually are going to have to make sure reports get filed, they review them, things like this, to make sure everything's in order all the time, and that we don't get caught or sidetracked, and I appreciate your focus and your thoughts, so thank you again.
Thank you very much again, Sonia, for stepping up to the plate and for being here this afternoon. I want to thank everyone for coming out and supporting Sonia. And so as soon as we're done with this, if anyone else wants to provide any written testimony, we'll continue to accept it until such time we close it and submit it for the full body to vote on your confirmation. So again, thank you very much, and happy Valentine's to everybody. This hearing is adjourned. Thank you.